And now that I'm pretty much done, that's just a bunch of vacation days. It's so liberating.
So
Sleeping better,
liberating.
Spence. I'm waking up better. I'm exercising. It's like amazing how you feel when you finally fucking are not oppressed uh, and
Mhm.
disrespected.
Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
it's wild. So I really love this fucking scene because he's just like,
I
I'm
mean, he
fucking
just says
checked
it
out.
like it is, you know? Like, I
Sure.
mean, that's what like 95% of corporate America would want to say. Like, yeah, I spend a lot of time zoning out. I spend a lot of time scrolling
Yeah.
or like online shopping or whatever. It's, people don't actually work 40-hour weeks.
No, no. It's
So
We need
it,
breaks.
it's hard to work 40 hours a week in
Yeah.
certain jobs,
yeah,
right? Because you can get work done fast. And that's how they make it. They make it so you can fast track work. And then you're like, well, now you have to be productive with the rest of your. I'm like, first of all, you're not gonna get me with that if I'm making 40 grand a year. That's not like it's just not gonna
It's
happen.
not.
Why would I do that? You need to incentivize me. And it's like,
yeah.
and now where I'm at in work, it feels like now, even though I'm not making much more, I'm also working harder because I actually like the company I'm working for. It's in an industry where I really love being at. And that's an incentive for me is just keeping into that industry and keeping it from there. And I think although I remember in school they talked about how like money wasn't a great incentive for people to actually work more. It's like yes and no, because yeah, you do have to love what you're doing. But at the same time, if I'm providing even more and I have even more cushion to where I don't have to worry financially, that helps a lot with my decision on where I work as well.
She talked about something
Yeah.
called the golden handcuffs. What the hell is that?
Mm,
That's the inverse of that, where you
mm,
like can't leave
right.
because you get paid too well and you don't work that hard.
Yeah.
And then you get stuck even if you're miserable, even if it feels meaningless because you're just pushing a button and it's not tied to any sort of, your value system.
Mm,
Yeah, and that's also a big part of what so much of corporate America is dealing with is they're like, well, the job market is shitty. People are unemployed for a really long time. And so like I hate my job, but I'm gonna stay here because it's better than not having one.
mm.
What was that thing you said? I can't get to my notes because it's behind the screen because I didn't write on the fucking whiteboard this time. You said moral something like the
Oh
moral,
yeah. Moral injury. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
moral injury.
Like
What they do?
so a lot of times we're all familiar with the concept of burnout, which
right.
is, you work too hard and you don't have enough work-life balance and you are really just exhausted in this domain of your life. But maybe you don't hate your job, you just like are working too much for too little pay.
Right.
Okay.
And moral injury is when it goes beyond burnout and you are feeling like the work you're doing goes against your personal moral code. It goes against your value system, where you are, helping corporations make more money while exploiting people, right? Or, it was really a term that was coined around war veterans where they have to go into war zones and like kill civilians or just like kill people in general. And they felt like that was a violation of their moral code. And then
Mhm.
from there, it really extended to healthcare workers during COVID and beyond, right? Just like the healthcare system itself is really fucked, where we have to like
Yeah.
triage and like, insurance pre-approvals, and people cannot actually access the care that they need and deserve because of profits. And healthcare workers, I mean, it sucks, like even as a mental health care professional, like I would love to take more insurance and make it more accessible. And also, like, I cannot do that with the degree of taxiness of this work and expect to like have anything left over for myself or my family. But in the past like years, I mean, especially in 2025, since January 20th, we are seeing this with a lot more industries, right? We're seeing this with tech workers where they're feeling like, oh my gosh, I always thought that this was a aligned field, but here is my CEO like, going to different places that don't feel aligned. And with government workers where they're getting axed left and right and they don't know when or how. And so it's really hard to feel motivated and like you're making a difference and you're aligned with the work that you're doing when there are a lot of elements that are explicitly against your value system.
Yeah, your value system when it comes to a bunch of different things. It could be political, it could be monetization, it could be oppression, but also sometimes the value system is like the work and effort that you're putting into the actual work versus your family. And then you're like, what am I
Mhm.
doing to my family? What am
Yeah.
I doing to myself? And so now, but then you're obligated. It can get really messy really fast with a lot of neurodivergent, autistic folks,
Mhm.
ADHD folks, OCD folks. They go a
Yeah.
lot to feeding into the machine.
Yeah.
Is they want to
Performance,
make
performance.
they want to make their employer happy, and they think that they're going to get that raise, but then a lot of us never get that raise, and then you just get more and more depressed. But then you just keep trying to work harder, and then you may not get those accolades. So it might be like a Milton vibe where they just kind of shit on you and like, oh, maybe they're finally going to notice me. And will you get rewarded with more work, no more money?
Mhm.
More work, no more respect. So it
Yeah.
really sucks when now you get into that moral, ethical obligation to you and your family. And that's when a lot of my clients start to get very existentially and very suicidal. Because what does life
Mhm.
come to now? Am I just going to work, be tired as fuck? And all my autistic people are like, I don't want to do this. I don't even like going into work. But you're saying I have to do this to make money so I can eat. So there's no,
Yeah.
I might as well just fucking die because I don't want. And I'm like, but I get it. And I tell them like I get it, and like this shit sucks. They're
Yeah.
like, does it get better? I'm like, kid, I don't fucking know because you don't have the degrees to get these easy ass jobs. Like you're
Mhm.
working hard, shitty
Mhm.
jobs where they are working 40 hours.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that moral shit is I liked when you said it. First time I ever heard that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's so real because people think they're burnt out, right? They're like, oh, well, I should just like take a vacation. And like, how come like my 2 weeks didn't do anything for me? Or like, even with burnout, like burnout takes a lot longer to heal from than we want to
Correct.
admit. Like
People are
people are like,
disabled from
oh,
burnout.
yeah, totally. Like you take 2 to 4 weeks off. No, no, no. You take like 6 months to a year off, to really truly heal from burnout. But like if you have moral injury, then it doesn't even matter if you take 6 months to a year off. Like if you go back into that system, it's still gonna be demoralizing. It's still gonna be soul sucking. And you're gonna hate what you're doing because it's still gonna be misaligned with your value system. And I think that's the fork in the road that I think is really hard because people are having to decide like, do I maintain my values and my morals and like try to find a way out, or do I need to shift my entire moral value system in order to have less dissonance in how I'm living my life? And I mean, that's really heartbreaking to see because I think a lot of people are doing that, in recent months, given you know, the
Yeah.
vibes, what the state of the world is that people are having to betray their entire moral value system because it's what allows them to live a little bit easier. And like it's both so disappointing and also like I can't really blame them, but god
Yeah.
damn, I don't know.
It's a tough spot. Life is
Yeah.
hard. Life is not as easy as people like it. Life is hard. And I always prepare my clients. Life is a motherfucker. Not trying to be depressing. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I think this kind of leads us into the second scene. Do you got anything else you want to talk about this scene? Huh?
Mm. Also, like, if Peter wasn't a white man, would he have gotten that promotion? Would he have,
See, and that's going into the next scene.
The next scene.
Hey, Peter, Peter gets his promotion, and they're also telling him that they're going to downsize his friends. So he's like, well, not only am I getting promoted, I'm also taking the money that my friends had, and I'm also taking
Mhm.
that as well. And that's when they scheme this plan to steal from Initech, which goes horribly wrong because of a decimal point or something like that. So we are talking about this how just Peter gets promoted for doing less. right? And even talking bad about the company. Is this really a comment on privilege in the workplace, do you think? Do you also think that like or how do you think that internalized expectations differ across people who, you know, across race, gender, class? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, when we think about imposter syndrome, I like to call it, or no, imposter phenomenon, not imposter
Mm,
syndrome, which situates it within the individual, right? This is my syndrome, my
right,
problem. Whereas
right.
imposter phenomenon is more of a systems
Mm,
problem because who does
mm,
it benefit, right?
right.
When people feel like they are an imposter and they are underqualified, they're going to compensate and work harder. And like, who benefits from that? Who
Mm,
can pay less to get the same amount, if not more, worth of value and work?
mhm,
Yeah. Like I think you can't extricate, the privilege from the system. And when it comes to individuals within the system, like there are people who are going to be rewarded so much more simply because of who they know, what their background and their connections are. And like sometimes it's just their personality. Like gregariousness gets you really far when it comes to your professional life.
yeah.
But really, it's who you are and how palatable that is to the system at large.
So you're
How
saying
do you
be a
toe
kiss
into that
ass.
line?
Be a kiss
I
ass,
mean,
be
You do.
professional.
I look, I know. It
yeah.
sucks. I can't do it. I really can't. Like, I can be professional, but I'm not
Mhm.
also going to go out of my way. Stop nuzzling your goddamn mic. Jesus Christ,
I'm
like a
trying to kiss a
bear.
man.
Trying? Oh, yeah. Anyways, nothing wrong with that. Anyways, when you're talking about just work in general, and for me personally, I grew up with my mom, single mom, who worked her ass off, who also does not like kissing ass at all.
Mhm.
Does not like
Mhm.
doing it. I grew up in that
Mhm.
household. And when it comes to that, I can be as professional as I need to be, but there's a point. There's a point
Mhm. Mhm.
where if you try to go too far, or if you try to make me do work that is out of my bounds and what I is deemed in my just
Contracted to
job
do.
description,
Yep.
then that's when we have a problem. Because if you're not willing to pay me more for more work, then I'm not going to do the work. That's just how it is. And hey, thanks for watching this video. Check out the full episode on our channel and anywhere you find podcasts. Also, remember to like and subscribe. Whoop whoop.